proven character. But what else does the verse say? It says, with work of patience, patience experience. And it says, in that hope, it produces a hope that won't disappoint because you have a portfolio of things that you've watched God escort you through, difficult situations that he's escorted you through, betrayals that he's escorted you through, firings that he's escorted you through, surgery that he's escorted you through.
Right.
And that produces a hope that won't embarrass you. But see, you have to be willing to be engaged in that process. You can't jump off the operating table. You can't say, I didn't sign up for that class, God. Have you ever noticed that God has signed you up from some classes that you didn't sign yourself up? And the funny thing about God is he doesn't let you withdraw. Once he signs you in, you can't drop it. But that experience is a cornerstone for change. That experience teaches you, you know what? I can love the unlovable. You know what? That experience teaches you that if you were removed from my life, you weren't necessary for my future. That experience teaches, you know what? That God can provide resources and money when I thought things were hopeless. That he's a God of the suddenly, but you need experiences. But if you get off the process, you never have experiences. So it's almost like every time, listen to me carefully, every time you run from the battle, the next time you face it from a weaker position. Because lingering in your mind was the retreat from the previous encounter. So under Dennis's leadership, as we develop with the ladies and all the wonderful people we have here, you'll get the information. If you don't get any new, you have too much anyway. You will get the relationships. You'll get the encouragement. God will knit your heart to someone else. He'll knit someone's heart to you. Someone will be predisposed to want to check on you, predisposed to want to call you. They'll start using their walk time as, this is the time where I connect with people. This is the time where I reach out to people. You'll get the relationships. You'll get people who will put eyeballs on what you're going through so that you're not just experiencing life in a vacuum, so that you're not just in an auditorium wondering, does anyone know what you're going through? So we're talking about experiences. One of the experiences, as I just alluded to, is proven character. To grow, to change, you need proven character. See, each experience provided proven character for me. So as I evolve as a leader, now when I'm confronted with something, it doesn't rattle me the way it did 2 years ago. I'm going to say that one more time. You need proven character because as you progress, when you encounter things, you won't get rattled like you used to. Money's low. Okay, well, I have an experience. Okay, betrayal. Okay, I have an experience. Okay, hurt. I have an experience. I've walked through it. I gloried in tribulation because that tribulation worked out patience. I learned how to be the same. I learned how to keep giving. I learned how to keep having quiet time. I learned how to keep serving. I learned how to keep bringing energy in the room. I learned how to keep smiling. I learned how to keep reaching out to people. I learned how to get out of my skin and that patience produced an experience that no one will ever steal. And that gives you hope. You know my story well. I used to suffer from cluster headaches. One day I said, I just started studying healing. I was down on Wall Street. Some of you have heard this, some of you haven't, but I want to hear it again, so I'm going to share it. So I was having cluster headaches, and all of a sudden I said to myself, okay, God, if your word works, I'm going to prove it right now. So I used to get these cluster headaches. It was so bad. I looked physically like disabled. My eye would shut and it would start to get red and pulsate. And I used to have to leave the trading floor, go into a room, conference room, and I would, a conference room with a nurse's office, I used to have to try to make myself take a 2 or 3 minute cat nap. That was the only thing that would relieve it. These things, this was like the Mike Tyson of headaches. It laughed at Advil, Anacin, anything you could take, it was like, it may as well have been jelly beans. So one day, I had been studying healing. So I said, okay, I'm going home. I was supposed to meet someone at BBQ's on 72nd Street. I'm down on Chambers. And I get on the 2 train. Actually, I get on the 1 train, and I start going uptown. I go from Chambers, the stops, all the locals to 14th Street. My head's getting worse and pounding. I go from 14th to 28th, 18th to 23rd, 28th, 34th, 42nd Street. When I got to 42nd Street, this thought entered my mind that you're in too much pain. What you need to do is take your butt home and get in bed. And when you get in bed, call the restaurant and tell the person that you had dinner with that you won't be able to make it. 42nd Street comes, 50th Street comes, 59th Street comes. I'm getting worse. I live, many of you know, on 66th Street. When we get to the 66th Street stop, as it was approaching, I was feeling lightheaded. It was like I couldn't even see. But I said, Lord, if your word works, I'm going to stand on this. So when we got to 66th Street, I stood up because I said, I just can't do this. And I was so tempted to walk through the doors and go home to my apartment. And I said, no, I'm going to stand. I'm going to stand in your word, Lord. I sat back down. We go up to 72nd Street. I'm dizzy. I can barely see the doors open. The train doors open, and many of you have heard this. I walked out of that train door, and the second my second foot hit the platform, it was gone. I mean, gone. So when people say, I don't believe in healing, I don't care what you believe. I was healed. The pain left me. See, that's an experience. You can't take that from me. I don't care. I mean, all due respect. You can't take that experience from me. The pain left. But you need experiences for growth because they build confidence. You need little victories to prepare you for the bigger victories. In boxing, they give you fights with contenders before you fight the champion. If you're David, you fight the lions and the bears before you fight Goliath. If you're Joseph, you start ministering at Potiphar's house so you can get ready for the nation. You go from Potiphar's house, okay, you glory in tribulation, tribulation work patience, patience experience, experience hope, okay, now it's time for the prison. You glory in tribulation, tribulation work patience, patience experience, experience hope, and that hope won't make you ashamed. Okay, now you're ready for all of Egypt. But you won't grow without experiences. But you won't have experiences if you keep jumping off the operating table, if you don't have any relationships to encourage you, and if you're not getting any new information. The second part of experiences is you need to serve and practice your gifts so life can give you feedback. It's amazing how many people want a big platform, but they keep jumping around. You need a place where you can work out your own salvation, where you can practice, a safe environment, where life can give you feedback. Okay, I was good at that, I was bad at that. Okay, I could do that better the next time. Okay, when I was ushering. Okay, when I was teaching. Okay, when I was leading worship. Okay, when I was conducting that workshop. Okay, when I was doing that interview. Okay, when I was acting. Life is about getting feedback and refining yourself. If you're going to grow, if you want change to occur, you got to get in the water and see how you swim. Well, do you do the breaststroke? Do you do the backstroke? Are you good at floating? But you need to find out where you excel and where you're weak. But change and growth doesn't come unless you allow life to give you feedback. And that feedback provides an experience. I remember in the old days of CLC, I've shared this story, that many of you know I'm a golf junkie, so I used to go to the 7 o'clock service because I could get out by 8:45, be at the Holland Tunnel by 9, pick up my boys, shoot through the Holland Tunnel, and we'd be on the golf course by 10:30. I mean, I had this thing down. I had my bag in my trunk. I had my shorts in the passenger side. I knew which lights were long, and I could... change my clothes. I had this thing down to a science. I picked my boys up at the Holland Tunnel. I'd have suits and ties draped over the back seat, and they want to know who was sitting back there. But as a result of going there so early, the ushers start picking on me because I was a single guy, and I would always try to sit in the absolute last row. So you know what they did? They started, because they just took a liking to me, they started grabbing me out of the last row. And you know what they would make me do? You probably don't even remember this. They used to make me sit in the choir. Because if you remember the old facility, the choir used to sit behind the podium. This is like a food store. Some of you know what I'm talking about. And I'm sitting in the choir, and if you've heard me sing, you know that's not my gift. See, from sitting in the choir, I got the experience that singing is not for me.